Welcome back. Today's video is going to be about board members. Any of you that have operated in a non-for-profit environment or an organization that has a board that is for oversight, leadership, accountability, authority, those types of things, I don't have to tell you how interesting they can be. Boards, a group of personalities, a group of individuals, they can be great and they can be a bit of a burden. Let's first talk about types of boards. Now, in a small not-for-profit, you watching this may or may not be the executive director. That is the person who is responsible for casting the vision, right? The visionary who says, this is where I want the organization to be. This is my dream, my goal of what they will, what the purpose of this organization is and what it will achieve, okay? When an organization is small, maybe it's just you, it's your not-for-profit and nobody else. And that's fine. A one individual not-for-profit can be super powerful. There's a gal up in Boston. Her name is Peggy Matthews, and she runs a veteran services organization all by herself. When I saw the web presence and then I called her, I left a message, and she calls me back and she says, you probably think we're some big organization, but it's just me. But the amount of people she serves, the amount of people she reaches out and touches, the amount of veterans and their claims that she has assisted far exceeds what some larger organizations have accomplished. And she's just one gal. Well, in her case, and she's one smart, powerful, capable gal. So I said that in a way that sounded to minimize her, and I don't mean to. I mean, I'm maximizing her. She is a powerhouse of operation. But she only answers to herself. She may have a board, but she really runs the day-to-day, and the board may be there for oversight and accountability or whatever. But she's the leader there and runs that, and she has the vision and the desire and the heartfelt. But what she may or may not be getting from her board, and I'm using her as an example, and her and I have never had this discussion. We've not had this discussion. But your board, a board that is a powerful board for a not-for-profit, is going to do a lot more than provide some 40,000-foot oversight. You see what I'm saying? They're not just going to provide some accounting services if they happen to be an accountant, and they're going to provide a whole lot more. Let me tell you what they're going to provide. For any not-for-profit, small or large, if your board is not writing checks themselves as a way to set an example for others in the community, they shouldn't be on your board. They shouldn't be. A board member should be somebody who believes in the vision, who's bought in as much as you have as the director, or as the director of giving, or whatever. See, they'll select a board because, gosh, the crazy reasons why they put people on the board is just, it boggles the mind. But you want people on your board who are so fully engaged with the community, who have the means to not only give themselves, but they're around individuals who have the means to give and have a heart for giving. Because that board needs to be the one who, while you're there working, providing the services, you're the one, the feet on the street, providing those services of your organization, your board needs to be off in the back rooms, at the golf club, at the Rotary, the chamber, wherever else they happen to be. Okay, they're going to be in a position where they're talking to other people about what you're doing. And they're going to be able to bring in the influence that's going to make a difference in your organization. Why would you have a board member who just is on the board to be on the board? Who's just going to be a vote? Who's just going to be a roadblock or an enabler, but doesn't have the influence? And why would you want to have someone on your board who doesn't believe in you enough to write you a check at every board meeting? Do you hear me, board members? If you're not writing a check, I don't care how much that check is for a board member to go into a board meeting, have a meeting, and walk out of there without writing a check, and has no business being on that board. That means you don't believe in that board enough to even be on it. If you cannot make a personal commitment, a personal contribution, a personal sacrifice, then why are you in the room? Because if you can't do it yourself as a board member, as a leader within the organization, what are you saying to others? What's the message you're putting out there? So this is a wake-up call. If you're going to choose people to be in your board, you choose people of influence who are cognizant of their responsibilities of being on the board, who will write checks each time they're there. I'm not saying it to be huge, but it is the act of participating as a leader to say, as leaders, we give to this organization. We support the organization of which we are board members. And by the way, I've brought 2 guests with me. They're going to write a check too. Or, hey, by the way, we had a meeting with the guys over there at the golf club, or we had a meeting with the gals over there at the golf club, and we're going to have a little coffee time, and we are going to show some faith in the organization. We're going to show a buy-in, okay? And at that little coffee meeting they have, or wherever that meeting is, if it's on the 6th hole, I don't care where it is, there's an agreement. Hey, everyone, got y'all out here to play golf, and I want to walk away with $6,000 off the 6th hole. So who's in for what? I'll go the first 500, 1,000. Who's going to match me here? By the time they get to the 18th hole of that golf course, they're bringing you a nice fatty check at the meeting. That's leadership. That's influence. Or someone who's going to go off and meet with someone from the local union or from the local chamber or somebody. They're going to make things happen. Movers, shakers, influencers, people who are doing things, not just a vote on the board. Otherwise, you'd be better off without them on the board because they're just going to drag you down. It is nice, yes, to have someone on the board like an accountant who's going to provide free accounting services and do your 990 and all of that. But heck, why drag somebody on the board all year long when you could just pay somebody $250 to do your 990 for you? Doesn't make any sense, does it? You know, so when you choose your board, don't get so pie in the sky about it in terms of, oh, well, this is my friend Joe and he wants to be on the board, or this is so-and-so and they own the local gas station and that's why they should be on the board. Baloney. It's when you sit down and say, you sit down with that potential board member and you say, I need a strong board member and I think you may be the person to do it. Let's talk about what your role can be. First off, I need my board members to show some leadership. Can you write a check each time, no matter how much it is? Can you write a check at every meeting just so that you can set an example? Great, you can do that. And you're a person of influence. When you go to your meetings, will you talk us up and actually invite them to some things and so you can help generate some interest? You know, a board member needs to show leadership and make things happen and be dynamic. Otherwise, it's dead wood. It's dead wood. And if right now you're watching this video and you have yourself a room full of dead wood, you better get out that axe and start hacking. I don't care whose feelings you hurt. And if you've turned over through your bylaws, if you've turned over the power to your board, you've made a big mistake. You've made a huge huge mistake. And at the earliest convenience, you need to rewrite those bylaws. You need to rewrite those bylaws so that you never lose control of that organization. Now, if all the board members get together and they vote 3 times over 3 meetings that you have to go, tough beans, you're out. But I would architect that so that board is more of an advisory board. And if you're going to have a board that's going to be over top the organization in terms of controlling what happens and whether you come or go, you better figure a way to stack that board, because there's been more than one executive director tossed out, no matter how good they are. I know of a church where the pastor is a dynamite, dedicated pastor. But because the board was chosen prior to him being there, because he won't do their dirty work, they are voting him out. They're locking him out of the money. They're locking him out of everything, and they're selling stuff off and doing things like crazy. Now, granted, if that pastor got there after the board was there, not much he can do. But don't set yourself up where your board can just toss you out. If that's the only purpose of having that board, forget it. You want a board who is so busy, you're the last thing on their mind. Them taking over is the last thing on their mind. They're on other boards, they're professionals in the community, or they're well-heeled people who are interested in the outcome of the organization. And that if they're not happy with you with something, they're going to get you in a room and they're going to say, I'm not happy, I want to see some results. What are you going to change? Show me some action. See, they're not throwing you out. They're pushing you up against the wall and saying, we want more out of you as the director. Perfect. You know, don't you want that? If someone wants more from you, you don't want them just to go in there and vote you out and put somebody else in. You want them to sit you down, bless you out, demand of you, push you, challenge you. That's what a board does. They don't just fire people, and they don't control you with money. They say, I want 15 more kids served each week. What do we have to do now? Can I write a check? Can I bring some people in? What do I have to do to enable you, director? Or if you're another person within the architecture. But I'm saying that board should be an active board, writing checks, challenging you, pushing you, bringing you resources. It needs to be a dynamic process. If it's just a bunch of bodies around a table who are twisting and manipulating you, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And you need to, as quickly as possible, figure a way, politic, do what you got to do. Do stuff behind doors and get those people off that board. Get them out of your life. Get them out of that organization's life. Sounds harsh? Baloney. Your board needs to be movers and shakers in the community who can be movers and shakers in your organization. And then when you do all the other things that are in these videos here at the Fundraising College, when you do these things, then your board members will give you the horsepower. They'll give you energy. They'll pray for you. They'll do everything they need to do to ensure that your success. That's a board. You hear what I'm saying? Now that's a board. And they'll bring you to greatness. So when you choose your board, I opt for a board of advisors as opposed to a board of directors. And if you have a board of directors, stack them in your favor, give you some security. But no matter whether they're a board of advisors or a board of directors, they need to be movers and shakers who have a reputation for getting things done and are no baloney and have only one goal in mind, the success of the organization, the success of its mission, and that they're going to push you and drive you and bring, most importantly, the resources behind you to help you do your job the best that you can do it. So, we'll do more later on about boards, but you can tell I got a lot to say about it, and there's a lot you can do to help solidify your position in the organization, get the force of that board behind you, have them show their commitment, have them writing checks when they come, bringing in their influence, and it will take your organization to places you probably never imagined. So, enough about boards, and we'll see you in the next video.